Hello and welcome back to the show. For the next couple of months, I will be using this platform to allow viewers to get to know and interact with our 2020 Democratic political candidates, as well as discuss current issues. In order for us to make the change that we want to see in the world, we have to be educated and politically active. On the Hagir show, we are trying to continue raising awareness about many issues that affect us daily here. And today we have with us Brittney. She's the Democratic candidate for PA House of Representatives in the District 105. Without further ado, I will have Brittney introduce herself and tell you who you are. Welcome, Brittney.
Hi, thank you so much for having me this afternoon. I'm really excited to be here. You know, we're in such a uncharted territory for how we find ways to talk to voters and how we get our message out. And it's been exciting to see the way that this evolves into a Facebook platform. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you again. My name is Brittney Rodas. I am the Democratic candidate running for state rep in the 105th district, which includes Lower Paxton, West Hanover, and South Hanover. And this is a district that was decided by only 500 votes last cycle. And prior to that, we had a Republican incumbent for almost 30 years, and nobody really knew that this district could be a Democratic district. But we saw the numbers in the primary get very, very close, and we know that the voter registration is trending our way, and it's probably the most consequential election that we are going to see in our lifetimes. So I am so proud to be running during this and get to talk to you guys about me and why I'm running and what I plan to do when I'm an elected official.
Well, welcome, and I am honored. And like I said that before, and I'm going to keep saying this year is going to be very special. Seeing so many strong, powerful women and young women, especially, running to make a difference and make a change in this world and in our state, it's refreshing. So I am thankful for having you, Brittney. And just if you can briefly tell us your campaign and why you're running, just so people know more about you.
Yeah, sure. So I guess the best way to start this, tell you a little bit about myself. I am a former policy staffer for the House, where I worked on health and human services policy, liquor policy, a little bit of labor policy. So my career and my education is in public administration and in policy. I have a master's in public administration, and I've always loved the work that I've done. I have worked at the Capitol. I'm not there now, but worked there for several years, and just the impact that we were able to have was so rewarding. But I decided to run for office, leave the job that I loved after so many years, because I couldn't work for an institution anymore that was fighting so hard for families and fighting so hard for common sense policy like public education funding and access to quality, affordable health care, when we saw the politics being played on the floor and watching all of that hard work fall by the wayside because we didn't have legislators who had enough courage to do the right thing and vote for it. So a little bit more of a personal story why I decided to run was because my father had passed away last year, almost a year to date. It was July 24th of a heart attack. And he was a Vietnam veteran. He was a union steel worker and such a great father. But my sister and I, leading up to his death, had been fighting with insurance companies to get him health care. He qualified for Medicare, but they only paid a certain amount, and he couldn't afford it because he was a disabled veteran. Couldn't get to a VA because it was 40 minutes away. Couldn't qualify for Medicaid because he made $7 over the income limit.
Oh my God.
So when he had a heart attack and died, I really felt like the system had failed him, and I had a very hard time going back into work, knowing that all of the hard work I'm doing to make sure that families don't go through a similar situation is just falling by the wayside because of our legislators. So I couldn't take it anymore, and I decided to run.
This is, I'm sorry to hear what happened to your father, and I'm sure a lot of people out there can relate to this issue. We have so many issues in our system, not just healthcare. And I see, following you and looking at what is more important and your priority in your campaign, it is something that I think anyone can stand behind. Your healthcare, experience and what are you going to do. Same way with education. You know, you said something on your website, and if you can talk more about that. You said, as a former food stamp kid, I knew that I wouldn't be where I am today without PA public schools. And I know a lot of people, either they have been through this experience or don't understand. You know, you look at someone and you say, they are, I think we lost Brittney until Brittney comes back. She discussed the education part of her journey. She talked about what is more important to her as a kid, you know, growing up, receiving food stamp and being on the system, and what the public education have done to her to get her to this point. And that's, I think, one of the welcome back. I think we lost you for a minute.
Sure what happened there.
And that's okay.
Okay.
I was just talking about your story about education and what is making you wanted to be an advocate for that. Can you talk to us about the education part of your campaign?
Yeah, absolutely. So my background, I was a very poor kid. I grew up with a very poor family. My mom didn't even graduate high school. My dad went to trade school that became obsolete later on in life. And so I didn't have a very affluent upbringing, and we relied on programs like food stamps and LIHEAP to make sure that we had food and heat. And that shaped my upbringing so much, because if I didn't have my public school education, there was no way I was going to a private school. But I was lucky enough to live in a school district where we had decent funding, and I had so many mentors through the education system that kept me on the right track. Like, we see the cycle, we see the poverty to poverty cycle over and over again. And I knew that that's not something that I wanted for myself or for my future family, for my future children. And if it weren't for the public school education, I don't know where I would have been. I'm a first generation college grad. I put myself through graduate school and got a master's at 22. I just think that without that base, without that foundation of public school, I would have never been there. But we see now that public school funding is more under threat than it's ever been. It's constantly being attacked. We have all these different options for school choice, which I think are very important for some families. Like, a public school education may not be the right answer for every child. But I do believe that we should be stripping resources of the general public who is paying into this system to send students to a private charter school that's making a buck off our backs and stripping our brick and mortar schools. So education funding is something that I feel very passionate about. But even more than that, I had learned in my public school education that it's so much more than just the books you read and the math you learn, but the social education that you take away from that and the life lessons that you take away from that. And you're in public schools, you're more cultured, your teachers are more experienced with dealing with a whole wide range of issues. And we need to be teaching our kids a curriculum that prepares them for life, not a curriculum that teaches them how to take a standardized test. And we shouldn't be measuring our teachers' ability to teach based off of those test scores, because it's not indicative of the success of our public schools. So I'm going to be fighting for all of that and so many other issues when it comes to public school funding, to make sure we have guidance counselors, make sure that our nurses have enough resources, and making sure that we're properly equipped to care for each student that walks in that door and provide them with the type of education that they need to get to a place where I am now, where I wouldn't be without my education.
And this is such an inspirational story. You said 22, master's degree in 22?
Yeah.
I am so proud of you, first of all. And again, you know, working hard. And I think you're not just running to change a political party idea about education and healthcare, but you are going to be an inspiration and a role model for all the young women out there, you know, and especially when someone who's going through economical hardship, especially now with the pandemic, to think, I can't do it, or you reach that point of giving up or almost giving up. And then you look at someone like Brittney and say, you know what, I can do it. And I think this is very touching and powerful. And with the school, let me just, talk to you a little bit about that. We have so many school districts that the fundings are cut for the public school. And we always keep saying systemic injustice. When we say systemic racism or systemic injustice, what we mean by that is when you expect two people to function the same way and get the same results when they're not provided with the same opportunities. And we can see this a lot happening in our system and public schooling, and having teachers who are paid less than any other profession when we are expecting them to raise our children. So what will you be doing to help with that specific pay children to teachers ratio, or any other suggestions or goals you're going to bring to us?
Yes, perfect. So I really appreciate that question, because I think that along with education funding, we have to talk about the systemic racism that is entrenched into our public school system. And we see that a lot in my district with Central Dauphin, where we have two incredible high schools that have so much opportunity in one school district that are not funded equally because we rely so heavily on a property tax base. And we know that Central Dauphin East doesn't have the same property tax base as Central Dauphin does. And we continue to increase property taxes at the expense of our seniors, who are often the ones struggling because they have fixed income to foot that bill. And we're not looking for new sources of revenue to fund our schools equally across the board. So I think that when we talk about education funding, we have to talk about finding new revenue. We have to talk about new taxes, taking away from property taxes, so that we're not just targeting the people that are already struggling the most on fixed income. And the other part of it too is I think that we have to look at our communities and look at the investment that we put into our communities. There are so many ways outside of just education per se that we impact our kids and our students, and we are not investing in our communities the way that we should be in forms of community recreation centers. We're not giving our teachers the resources they need to be able to do things outside of teaching to take that test. We need, like I said in the beginning, we need real life experiences, and the best way to do that is to get students involved. We need to be funding after school activities. We need to support the arts and the social studies and different social interactions that we can have, so that people can learn how to adjust to different situations as adults and live a fulfilling life. And the only way that we can do that is starting at the base of the problem, which is systemic injustice across our school districts, and it's disproportionately affecting Black and brown communities. And we've already seen how this type of systemic injustice leads to a million other problems, and it has to be addressed from the root of the problem. We can't solve it by throwing more money at the problem. We have to solve it by addressing the problem, recreating that structure, and moving forward.
I think the last part sum everything that I wanted to say. We cannot just throw money or just, go out and protest for one day and think, things will be resolved. We have to fix it from the roots, and we have to find the actual problem. And I think this is a subject or a topic that we can be on for a long time, but Brittney has more issues that she's concerned about, and she's going to be fighting to get it changed, to get some laws and regulation passed. And if you want to hear more and read more about Brittney's priorities, you can go to her website. I have that listed, and I'm going to list it again after the show. But let me just introduce MsIrene here, and so we can have her talk with us and discuss. Irene, welcome, and can you introduce yourself to everyone?
Yes, my name is MsIrene Renee, singer, songwriter, independent artist. So I'm here, thankful that Hagir has asked me to be a part of her format. So thank you so much.
Welcome, and we will be able to talk to you and hear your story and songs later on. But now, Brittney, let me get back to, I know the education part it's a lot, so we're just going to move on government reform. And we hear now, police reforming, and a lot of people are thinking the word defund. I don't like that word. I'm going to just throw that out there. And I kept saying from the beginning, if we need 3 sentences to explain one word, then please change it, choose another word. So it is police reforming, and you are talking about government reforming in general. Can you explain that to us and let us know what that means to you?
Yeah, sure. So I'll start with the government reform, and then we can move to the police reform. I think it just makes sense that way. My forms of government reform are pretty straightforward. I think that we need to end gerrymandering, and I supported an independent commission on redistricting, which I'm sad to learn at this point it's likely too late to get that commission started before redistricting, but I'm hearing that there's a lot of great conversation happening at the Capitol. Mm-hmm. Both leaders are involved, and they are trying to come to a compromise on how we can have fair districts in PA. But gerrymandering is a big issue to me because my entire adult life I've advocated for access to voting and voters' rights. And I think that the worst form of voter suppression is gerrymandering, when we are literally removing the ability for the electorate to choose who they elect and to choose whose voices is going to be their voice in the legislature. It's the worst type of voter suppression. We don't even have, what's the point of voting if you're just going to be stuck with whoever is assigned to that region? And that's really what we see, like in layman's terms, is that the party in power gets to choose who represents who. And it's Democratic and Republican. I don't think it should be a partisan process at all. I think it should be totally independent and have enough say from every political party, every person that has an opinion in every walk of life, because they're all being represented by the legislature. Mm-hmm. So other than just government reform and forms of gerrymandering, I support campaign finance reform. When I got into this race as a young woman, a young mother, I have 2 young kids at home. I know people said she's never going to be able to raise money. She's too young. She doesn't understand the process. She's running against, rich white America. And I accepted the challenge. I knew it was going to be a lot of work. But what I've learned through this process is that, and what I've learned as a staffer too, I think I always knew this, but I didn't really put it into fruition until I started doing this. What I've learned is that special interests control everything about the election process. They write big fat campaign checks for you to put up votes. They write loans that are forgiven if you vote a certain way. When that, it protects our incumbents and our special interest legislators. But I'm running a grassroots campaign where we have over 2,000 donations from over 1,500 individual people. And the average donation is $50 or less. I believe that when we offer campaign finance reform and put limits on what people can and cannot contribute to a campaign, we give the voice back to the people, because we're no longer saying that special interest gets to control who is running. So there's that. Those are primarily my 2 big campaign finance reforms. And I think that there's a conversation to be had about term limits per se, if I think we get gerrymandering taken care of, because I think a lot of the problem with term limits is that we are facing very gerrymandered districts and we don't really have a say to begin with. So it's almost a moot point at this time. But there's a ton of other ways that we can be offering government reform through transparency and accountability.
And that's one thing I want to say about that. We need more young people. Whoever told you you're too young or you don't have enough money, yes, maybe this is the capitalism is speaking and controlled by big corporates. But that's why we want people to go out and vote and please support. There is a contribution in every candidate that we had on this show. I posted Brittney's page as well, but those people are fighting for us and not getting paid to fight the big fight for big corporates. So the least we can do is to support, vote, and vote with your pockets. I have a good friends who always posting on Facebook, vote with your pockets. And if you can't do anything, you can go out, volunteer, knock on doors, find a way that you can be active. But you have an interesting topic that you have on your page, and I ask everyone to go and look at them too. But you have your view on gun violence prevention, and I know this is all. Somebody might look at it and take one topic that affect them, but it all come in one. It's all line up and is all fitting perfectly to solve an issue that we have, when we have less money going into our public school and you have more guns going there, you basically advocating for violence. You're pushing people to not succeed in life and choose other venues to do. I see you have gun violence prevention policy or one of your priority. Can you talk to us a little bit about that also?
Yeah, sure. So I do support the right to own firearms. I don't think that the Second Amendment is something that should be removed, but I do think that we've walked this fine line of, the NRA controlling the conversation, and any protective measure against firearms means we're trying to take your firearms. And I don't believe that. I think that overwhelmingly Pennsylvania and the United States supports common sense gun reform. And specifically things that I believe in is I believe that we should have safe storage laws. I don't have weapons in my home, but I have 2 small children and they go to their friend's house, and I fear for what that means if they go to a friend's house that has a firearm and not properly secured. That's like a worst nightmare I've had because I've read the stories about it. So other than safe storage laws, which would require you to store your weapon somewhere else than your bullets and make sure that it's unloaded, locked up, I think that we need to continue to support our background check system, both statewide and federally. We need to close the gun show loophole. You should not be able to walk into a building and buy a firearm the same day. And, it's one thing if it's not done maliciously, but it is. There's malintention there. You're walking in and they're saying, hey, we don't have to do a background check right now. You can leave with this weapon. And I've been there and I've seen it happen. So we need to close that loophole. We also need to put a ban on ghost guns, which doesn't necessarily prevent gun violence. And I think that a lot of these measures don't necessarily reduce gun violence as a whole, but it's common sense protective measures that it's not always gun violence that we need to protect people from. It's kids getting their hands on the wrong thing. It's being in the wrong place at the wrong time and not taking preventive measures. So banning ghost guns means that you can't purchase the pieces to build a gun at home and build it and not have it registered because it doesn't have a serial number. And while it doesn't reduce the gun violence, banning ghost guns would prevent another weapon unregistered from being on the streets. So I'm open to compromise too. That's the thing. Like, I'm willing to have a conversation about this with any person that wants to say that they oppose these positions because of A, B, and C. And we can talk about how we can come to a compromise or what I'm willing and not willing to compromise on. But at the end of the day, I'm not willing to compromise on my right to live, your right to live, or my children's right to safety. And these measures, I don't think, entrench on anyone's right to own a weapon.
And I think we are more strict on some issues and less strict on the gun violence. And I'm going to highlight what you just said about criminal background check. And it's not just the criminal background check. We have to do extensive research, and we have to do some mental health. And that's what we were advocating for when we talk about gun violence. A lot of people who have tendency to become violent, domestic abusers, people who are angry / easy, people who are having some mental issues. And that doesn't mean they're not, like, they can go get treated and everything, but I'm not going to give them a weapon that, like you said in your website, and like anyone can do the research, over 36,000. And this is just the numbers that we know of. But there is more harm than having, having a unregistered gun in a home, or giving it to someone who can use it for a shooting, for example. And like you said, we cannot control that, and we're not trying, or you're not trying to control people's right of owning, but do it the right way. And I'm not in agreement with you, but I am, agreeing with the steps that you will be taking to prevent that from causing another issue in the country. And, those are just a couple of the topics that Brittney is passionate about, and will be working to pass laws and help. And just please let people know how can they reach you to not just volunteer, to voice their opinion, concern, and if they have suggestions or comments.
Yeah, sure. So my website is Rodas for PA, just like my last name, forpa.com. there's an option on my website that says take action, and there's a message box. So even if you just want to give some feedback from this or anything else that you hear or see, you can send me a message there that goes right to my personal email address, and I check every one of those messages. Mm-hmm. My other contact information is on my Facebook page, which is Brittney Rodas for State Rep. It has my phone number, my personal email address, all of the ways that you can reach me. I also have a Twitter and an Instagram, which is at Rodas4PA. And I'm happy to, drop a line at the bottom of this video afterwards with all the ways that you can contact me. But we are more than happy to hear from you, even if it's something that you disagree with. I can't perfect my policy without hearing from the public. So if there's a position that I've taken that you don't necessarily care for, let's talk about it. That's all I can offer.
And you cannot make everyone happy. Someone at some point is not going to agree, and that's okay. This is democracy, but at least we will have laws and regulation to protect us and to protect others. And I'm not sure if you have anything to say about any social injustices that is happening now, starting from police brutality to the protesting happening now to Black Lives Matter movement. I know there is a lot happened in the past few months, but people would, I'm sure, appreciate hearing your stand when it comes to those issues, and what are you going to do to help in general?
Absolutely. It's such an important issue. And I think that the most important thing here is that we make sure that it is a movement and not a moment, because we've seen this in the past where there's an injustice that takes place and we have a couple of days of outrage, and the next big news cycle comes on and something else is happening, and we tend to not have action because our legislators are very good at distractions and bringing up the next big issue. So I think that I stand with our Black and Brown communities in every effort that they have had made to bring attention to the issue. I've attended protests, I've walked, I've kneeled, and it has been the most moving experience of my entire life. I put out a comprehensive policy proposal to address Black Lives Matter injustices and police brutality specifically. And I think that when we look at police brutality and police reform, we hear the term defund the police, which, we as Democrats are really good at coming up with bad slogans. And that's one. We shoot ourselves in the foot when we do that. So I don't support defunding the police. What I support is addressing systemic racism in every single institution that then leads to police brutality. And some examples of that, like we talked about education funding. We need to fund schools fully across the district to make sure that there are not communities that are disproportionately funded. We need to remove a police presence from our schools because it shows that it just increases the public to prison pipeline. We see that our students are being sent from a disorderly issue at school directly to prison, and then it basically ruins their lives because criminal backgrounds are very difficult to overcome. I know we've made a lot of progress in Pennsylvania, but we still have a lot of work to do. We also need to look at the ways that our police officers are receiving training and where they're focusing their energy. I personally believe that we have asked police officers to wear too many hats. We have asked them to deal with violence. We've asked them to deal with mental health, domestic abuse, which are all issues that we do need some type of control in, but there are other professions that are better suited to handle those. And I applaud Dauphin County for beginning a program that would allow social workers to come in and help de-escalate those situations. But at the same time, I don't believe that we should be allowing police officers to engage in military trainings. It's not the same thing. It's not necessary, and I think it just escalates the situation. So what I propose is that we do more to support our police officers by asking them to do less, asking them to focus on the issues that they were hired to focus on and originally created to focus on. We need to get back to community policing. We need to fund our social workers and pay livable wages to every industry that would have to address this, because right now Pennsylvania has a social worker shortage, and we're paying them barely a minimum wage for the work that they do, which I commend any social worker because it's gut-wrenching to watch what they have to do sometimes. We need to be investing in the professionals that are trained to deal with these issues instead of investing in escalation measures like military training and overtime pay for those trainings. And we need to hold police officers accountable. If in the legislature, if you are charged with a felony that is, and even a misdemeanor, if you are charged with a crime related to your public position, you lose your pension. I say, why aren't we holding police officers to that same expectation? And why are we allowing police officers to be shielded from civil suits because of their position as a police officer? We shouldn't have qualified immunity. So those are some of the positions that I've taken on it. And I've provided a very comprehensive policy proposal, which is on my Facebook, and we're going to add it to my website too, but it's on my Twitter and my Instagram. And it goes into the specifics of what I do and don't support for police brutality and Black Lives Matter and systemic racism, because it doesn't stop at police brutality. Yeah. This is an issue that addresses every system that we live in.
And it might start with the police, but we have judges, we have, a whole system of systemic oppression. But I applaud you for the area where you stated what we all wanted to hear and do. Funding more social workers, trying to find the right person for the right problem. We cannot, like you said, ask the police to wear all those hats without training. And that's one of the things I stressed on at the beginning of, this police reforming movement, that we need to not just hold them accountable, but at the same time, give them the proper training to deal with situations. Just like I keep saying, I'm a nurse. I get trained in different situations, how to deal with patients who are demented, or to deal with patients who are intoxicated, and so on. But we need to do the same thing with our police officer and have a higher expectation on who we hire. So I think this is something that people would love to hear and appreciate from you and any candidate, that, it is an issue. We have to admit it first, and then we have to all work together, not to just say a solution, but to make it a reality. And I think Pennsylvania is heading towards this direction, especially when we see so many young, powerful people who are running this year, trying to make a difference and make their voice and vote counts. So with that, what would you advise people on voting? Like, why voting matters now more than any other time?
I truly believe that this will be the most consequential election that we've ever seen. And I'm not just talking about the president. We all know he's got to go. But what I'm talking about is our state legislatures, our local townships, our Senate, our Congress, every single race, excuse me, is on the line here. And in Dauphin County especially, my race was decided by 500 votes last cycle. I'm sorry, excuse me.
It's okay.
The ability to vote, women of color, years of suppression, and we continue to see oppression in our systems every day. People have fought so hard for us to have this right to vote. Yeah. It is our civic duty to do so. But what's even more important than just voting is making sure that we are unifying and uniting behind whoever the candidate is. And I mean, specifically Joe Biden. Like, I'm not going to say he was my first pick, but he is the candidate. And I believe if we choose to take those votes that would have been for Bernie or Liz or Beto O'Rourke, if we take those votes away from Joe and we put them towards a Green Party candidate, an independent, or just choose not to vote at all, that's one less vote that helps us beat Trump. But that's also one less vote towards progress. Yeah. We will not be getting the 100% progressive platform that we want with Joe Biden, but we're getting some type of progress. And if we've seen anything over the past 4 years, we are better off taking 5 steps forward than 500 steps back, because we've seen policy after policy be rolled back and stripped of our basic protections. And there's too much on the line to sit it out. There's too much work that has went into this moment in our history. And that's with any election, but especially this election. we just have too much on the line. And the important thing that I want to drill home, though, is like make sure that you vote all the way down the ballot, not just because I'm a House candidate, but because decisions in Pennsylvania are most impacted by our legislature. So if you want the quality of life that you deserve, if you want progressive policy, if you want change in minimum wage and police reform, you need to vote in your state leg races, because no matter what they do federally, we have our own set of guidelines here in Pennsylvania. And we have to follow that, but we can go above and beyond in Pennsylvania to make sure that we're taking care of our constituents and our communities. And if you don't vote in these local races, you are leaving so much room for rollbacks. I mean, from abortion to guns to education. And we've seen it happen over the past 10 years. Yes. And my last piece on voting, I go back to the gerrymandering. We need a Democratic majority to have a fair say in these maps. If you want to sit through 10 more years of voter suppression, then stay home and don't vote. If you want to sit through 10 more years of attack on women's rights and attack on our communities of color, then by all means, don't vote. But I'm not willing to do that. And I beg my neighbors and my community members and everybody watching to make your voice heard and know that decisions in the legislature really come down to 1 or 2 votes. And that matters when you're the one electing that person. So please don't sit it out. Please make sure you do your research, and whoever you're voting for, whatever you decide to do, just know that every vote towards a Democratic candidate, whoever it is a vote towards progress. And I'd rather have some progress than no progress, and even be regressive. So
progressive is the word. But, just again, if you vote for any party that is not basically the main 2 party, and you don't have to agree with what is happening now, but at least you have someone who you can logic with, you can talk, you can make them follow laws, regulation, and you have someone who is just running free willy, like doing whatever he wants to. And that's, if it has to come to this to make it appeal to you, then yes, that's what we are going to say, and hope that you will do, so we can move forward, like Brittney said, not regret back. And everyone lived here the past 3 years, and on some can see and tell. And if you are not obsessed and worried about the future, that means you need to check yourself, because you are either part of the problem or you are the problem. I think that's when it comes down to this. That's all my 2 cents here. But before we I know you're a busy woman, you had a lot to do. And before we let you go, if you have few last words to say to your listeners and people who are going to vote for you, and I'm sure you will after this.
Thank you so much. Again, Hagir, thank you for having me tonight. This is an incredible opportunity. And just some last parting words. We need all hands on deck this election cycle. And I know every candidate says that, and we all want to donate to the president and get involved in the president's race, but they're raising $40 million a cycle. We are depending on every dollar that comes into our district. So if you are able, please make a contribution. We are transparent and accountable with our money and are spending wisely. And it's being spent on reaching voters that wouldn't typically hear or see us. So if you're able to, great, please consider that. If you're not able to donate, but you still want to get involved, and anybody that wants to get involved, we are looking for volunteers to phone bank, to text, to postcard. We have so many opportunities, and we have so many spots open for anybody that wants to come and take part in that. Please go to my website, Undertake Action, drop your name and your email address. You can send a message. You don't have to. We will reach out to you and find the best option to volunteer. And like I said, these House districts are so important. So just please remember to carry your vote all the way down to the bottom of the ticket. Support candidates like myself and the incredible George Scott and Eugene, and all the way up through Biden. So thank you again. And don't forget to make your voice heard and your vote counted.
Hey, thank you very much, Brittney. It was an honor talking to you, and I'm sure we're going to see more. And I'll be posting a lot about Brittney and all our Democratic candidate that we had on the show before, and we will have on the show in the next few months. Please follow them, learn about the candidates, and make your voice heard, like she said. And thank you again, Brittney. We appreciate it. everything you do, and we wish you good luck, and we will be behind you right there to support.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate
it. And now MsIrene will join us. And hello, Irene. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, you sound far. So
far away.
If you want to speak a little bit louder, I will appreciate that.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
It's better? Okay.
Yeah.
I had to switch plans and use my phone versus my computer.
I know you're having issues, but I'm glad you are able to join us now. And again, I know you introduce yourself, but can you tell us a little bit about you so everyone out there can know your story before we move on and let them hear some of your beautiful songs?
Okay. Well, again, my name is MsIrene Renee. I'm a singer, songwriter. I've produced 2 albums. The first one that I released was in 2013. The title is Serendipitous Experience. The second one that I released independently is called Ubiquitous Soul, and that was released in 2017. I started working on my third album, but things got sidetracked here with coronavirus. But I've been singing for a long time, and you know what they say, I've been singing since I was in my mother's womb. So that's a long time.
It is.
So, you know, when I first, started, but, I started very young. My first recollection of singing was actually abandoning my sister in front of the church when we were supposed to sing our little songs for Easter Sunday. So that was my first recollection of singing, which I didn't do. So yeah.
Did you bail on her or what?
Say that again.
Did you bail on her?
I bailed. I hightailed it from, I don't know what happened. I think somebody stepped on my little white shoes. And for some reason, I got stage fright thinking about my white shoes that someone stepped on. And then I just, I had I don't want to be stereotypical, but I had a female moment. I had a meltdown.
It is
so I ran into my mother's
normal and anxiety.
Right.
It's normal. A lot of people don't know it or think about it, but every time you do a public appearance or you talk to a large group of people, you have that feeling, and it's normal. It's normal to have that. Some people get it more than others, but I think a lot of people will appreciate to hear this from you and to hear how you overcome this.
Yeah. So I did. So it I'll say this. Stage fright never really seems to go away. You always get the butterflies in your stomach. It's just how do you overcome and still be able to perform? So that's been a lifelong lesson. So instead of bailing on people that I need to show up for, I stick it out, even though I have all the butterflies and the anxiety and all that stuff. But I've managed, and I've done it for a long time. I truly enjoy singing. So with this whole coronavirus thing, I'm taking it in line with, just being able to settle down and like take in other things and focus, train more, thinking about singing and my approach to singing. And so I'm doing some investigative work while, during this quiet time, during this quarantine time.
Using your time wisely.
Huh?
Using your time wisely.
I'm trying a lot of eating. I'm trying to get back into exercising. But so I'm trying to use the time wisely. I think it's one of those people, people will categorize it as a blessing and a curse, because your heart aches for people that have lost. And I actually had experience with my brother actually being on a ventilator for 17 days. Thank God he came off. And I've had friends, their family members have passed away. So while it is a blessing that we're able to slow down a bit and kind of refocus and retool, we've had to deal with the pain along the way. So I'm writing, I'm thinking about different songs to write, different concepts. musically, just trying to stay in tune with everything. So hopefully, we have to prioritize what's important, and staying healthy has definitely been on the top of the priority list. But I do hope to get back into the studio and to do some more recording so that I can release another album. If not a full-blown album, then, what we call an EP. So that would be, about 6 songs. So that's still part of my plan going forward. But, this coronavirus thing is kind of like making me think about how I approach everything.
Mm. That's amazing. And you were able to send me a few links to records or songs that you already recorded and they're out. And I believe you own the right for all of them, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And I was listening to 3 of them earlier, like back to back, and the sound, like your voice, the music, it's all calming and relaxing, and that's something we do need around this time. Yes. And I don't want to, let me see, which song is this? So Running.
Okay.
Do you have any song, like a story behind your song or songwriting? Does it just come to you, or you experience some of that? And
a lot of personal experiences, listening to my girlfriends, swapping stories about love and heartache and trying to rebound and all that stuff. So I don't know if you're going to play Running, but Running is one of those songs where you think, you find yourself in a relationship, and you've been hurt so much, and your heart is bruised, and you find a good one, right? And then because of all of your past experiences, you start pushing them away and you start running away, and then you realize, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that to this one because he was the good one. So that's where Running came from. I don't know. I can share a story with you. Are you going to play that song?
Yeah, definitely. Go share the story. Yes.
Yeah. So another song that I choke up about a lot, because that one was definitely a personal experience that I drew the inspiration from, which the song is entitled "I Forgive You." And I actually produced a video to that one. That was the first single that I released off of Ubiquitous Soul, my most recent album. That song, I Forgive You, that it's all in the title. It's about a relationship gone bad, and forgiving the person. Just all of the ups and downs, the crying in public, your mother praying for you, doing a lot of soul searching. That was my story, and having a child out of that relationship. And, sometimes you have that retaliation kind of mentality, and you start to what we call with the baby mama drama, right?
Yeah.
And so I found myself partaking in some of that. And I had to realize, I had to step back, and say, hey, enough. I was losing myself in it, just the anger. And I had to pull back from it. And so that song was born out of that particular experience. I was, preparing for this interview with you, and I watched it again. I can watch it all the time because it just evokes so many emotions still. I mean, even though I've gone through the forgiving process, just remembering the pain, the struggle that I had to go through in order to hurdle that particular experience, it's still, I feel those emotions come back. So I Forgive You is very personal. It did very well. I released a video on Facebook first, and it received about 175,000 views on my my music page, MsIrene Renee music page. So people can go see. So that song, I think, hit a soft spot with a lot of viewers. So if you want to play that video, that's one that's near and dear to my heart.
The I Forgive You one?
Yes.
Okay. We can play part of that. And if you feel you want us to stop, we can stop. I will lower you.
When we met, I thought it was forever. Never knew the hurt you would put me through. It's no secret, you broke and left my heart in many pieces, yeah. I tried to keep all this pain inside, unsuccessful. Many strangers saw me cry, but I pray, Mama, I finally made it through. It was a long, hard road I traveled to heal my heart, to heal my heart. When I say I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you. I forgive you. Oh, I forgive you. I forgive you. I forgive you, babe. Don't wish no ill on you. Don't wish no ill on you. 'Cause I forgive you. Don't wanna be mad no more now. Don't wanna be angry no more. You found a new love, and I hope that she's all that you pray for. It was a long, hard road I traveled to heal my heart, to heal. So when I say I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you, oh, I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you.
And I think, this is just, we're just showing a little bit so we don't spoil it for everyone. You can go to MsIrene's website. I shared the link to her page, YouTube channel. Please subscribe. Please follow her and listen to the songs. And I mean, this is, so many people can relate to this song, Irene. And I know it is too close to you and emotional. Like it's, I felt emotional just watching this, not just the singing, the music, and you truly feel, I felt it, so you're a good actor also. Like you were able to, not because you're acting it out, but because this is your life. But so many people, like you said, for me to hear that you have a stage fright, I'd be like, girl, where's that? No, this video and the whole thing is beautiful. I watched it twice earlier, and you feel some kind of way. You feel connected to this story. You feel connected to the lyrics, and I think that's what art is.
Yes.
I'm listening to your story, but it felt like mine.
Yeah, right. And so I know, a lot of women, we have that in common, unfortunately, heartbreak, right? And in the most profound way. So I knew that particular story, and the producer who actually worked on that song with me, he knew it. I knew it. Like everyone who was listening, they were like, that's the first single. That's the one that connects with a lot of people.
Yeah.
The whole, I don't want to say storyline because it's real life, right? It was my life, and a lot of women can connect with that. So it's a message, right? I'm sharing, and also, you know, to encourage women to heal and to let go, right? So every relationship was not meant to work, right? And so we just have to come into that maturity and know that, you know, stuff happens, right?
Say that again one more time for everyone in the back. Every relationship is not meant to do what?
Work. Stuff happens.
Yeah.
And you know what? That word that needs to go there, right? Stuff
and
happens.
And it's hard. And,
right.
and you know, and you said the same, like running is basically after this, right? This came after the Forgive
So,
Me.
you know, so with those two songs pretty much were kind of written in the same time frame. So the I Forgive You song, that relationship had expired a while. Yeah. So it took time, you know what I mean? I had to go through the whole healing phase. And in that time, as I'm healing, you know, you enter into, or you try to enter into another relationship, right? And because of that, pain is still raw. You know, sometimes we rush into things when we really shouldn't, right? We need to sit back and really heal. And healing takes a while. So yeah, so pretty much that running concept was off of the I Forgive You, right? Because of the pain, you realize that there are some good guys out here still, you know. We have some very colorful sayings about all men are, you know, dogs, and, you know, we can't trust them, but that's not true. That's not true. And so running is just an example of falling into that trap, right? That I've been hurt so much, I'm not going to trust you. I'm not going to give my heart anymore. And you know, I'm going to play you, right? I'm going to do me. I'm not going to care about your feelings and things like that. So yes. So to your point, those songs were born out of the same time because of very intersected experiences.
And with that, you know, you had a different taste, like how I got to know you and know about you is hearing your song, No Justice. And that, like, I can't tell you how many times I played that song on YouTube, and I reached out to you, and I truly am appreciative for your response and allowing me to use it, because everything that I was doing here, you know, talking about police brutality, talking about reformance and no justice, no peace. I mean, it falls perfect, and the lyrics were amazing. And you know, those are two different types of music, and that shows, you know, you as an artist and your ability to relate to everything happening, not just to you, but around you. Can you just talk to us about the process of the No Justice, No Peace and the songs that fall in that category?
Yeah, so, you know, being an artist, you know, they always say that we're very sensitive, right, to everything. So we feel intensely. And when I wrote that, there, you know, all of the stories. So for the people that I actually reference in that particular song, I don't say their names specifically or outright, but I do reference why they were killed. Trayvon Martin, right, for wearing a hoodie. So I reference that, you know, being outspoken. You know, there's still a lot of mystery surrounding Sandra Bland's death, but that impacted me. I felt because she was outspoken, she, you know, she suffered, right? Tamir Rice, you know, just simply being a child, doing child things, you know, having a play gun. You know, when I think about that, it's crazy, you know, trying to support your family and selling loose cigarettes. How is that a big enough crime to be
your life,
right? For your life to be snuffed out. So what can I say? Just it piled on, right? So emotionally it piled on, and the only way that I could really release that was through writing and to give a message. I play on the word peace, right? So I use the homophones, peace, right? PIECE. and Peace.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you caught that.
Yes.
I want my equal peace,
Yeah.
right? This land, what we have here, this is earth, right? We came down here. We don't know how we got here. I mean, we can debate that depending on what religion, but hey, listen, we're all here by some design. And how do you feel that you have authority over me, like over my human body? Why do you feel that? This earth is here to share. That's my message. This earth is here to share. Why can't you find it in your heart to be open enough to see me as human? Like, I don't get that. Like, maybe somebody can put me in a therapy session and explain that to me, but it doesn't resonate with me. And so that was my message to anyone who would listen, is this earth is here to share. And if there is no justice, there will be no peace.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to accept that. You're going to have the marching throughout the streets in every city, every state. It's going to continue to happen until everyone wakes up and understands that we are all human. We all bleed red, right? We all bleed red. What makes you different than me? Our skin colors are different, but it doesn't make anyone more intellectual than the other.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So, that was that song. I can say more, and I run my mouth a lot.
Oh, no, that's good. You can tell that I can run my mouth too, but that's what we need and who we need right now. We need people to educate and raise awareness and talk about injustices and talk about unspoken issues. As we always say, this system has not only been corrupt for 400 years. It wasn't meant to allow people of color to thrive in the first place. So you and I and every other person who had our skin color, skin tone, are facing injustices and going through, the motion of systemic racism and everything to losing your life. And there's so many other songs out there with the stories, and there's so many stories. There are too many to tell. But if anyone is not able, you don't need, I'm just going to respond to what you said about maybe you need someone to go to therapy and tell you why or how. Nope. The one that needs to know why or how is the one who doesn't understand there is a problem, because we do have a problem. And it's, I don't know what else we can do. You try, you fight, everyone fights the way they see it fit or suit them. You're an artist. You fight with your words, with your songs, with your music. You help spread the awareness by doing that. And Brittney, before you, she's running for PA House of Representative, and so many other people that we brought in here, they fight on their own term and way. So I think, my message that I always keep saying on our show, that it doesn't matter how big or small your contribution to this world is, at least contribute, like do something, do it in your own unique way, just like MsIrene. She thinks to heal people who have broken heart or breakups or emotional instability, or at the same time talk about injustices and peace and how we can understand what is happening around us. I just want you to be able to say few words to everyone who's listening to you right now. And this is not the end of it. We're going to have you come again, and maybe after this pandemic is over, you can perform live to us, or we can come and watch you in your concert, because I see you going places. I mean, you have been doing a lot of great work, and I enjoyed listening to your songs. And I hope everyone listening to us now or will listen to us later to visit your page and YouTube channel and listen to your music and find what touched their heart and relate to. What would you want to say to everyone before we end this interview today?
Yeah, so, being a feeling person, I have definitely been impacted by the coronavirus. Like I said, I've been doing a lot of self-reflection. you know, trying to navigate the emotions with the injustices that we're still seeing. So I have to manage that, right? And keep myself mentally, emotionally, physically healthy. But the message that I will say or try to impart to you is better days. Better days are coming, you know, but we have to work for them. And I do have a song on, you can check it out on YouTube if you don't want to go to CD Baby or Spotify or whatever and listen to it. It's on YouTube and it's called Better Days. You know, when I wrote that song, it was, you know, talking about personal experiences and the daily woes or challenges that we face. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I realized that better days are coming, right? And happiness, I have another song, The Sun is Shining Bright, Brighter Days. Mm-hmm. And of course, my title is slipping my head. But I always try to encourage people to say that, you know, our current situation or circumstance is not lasting, right? So yes, we can find the bright spot in it, and we have to look forward and work toward, you know, being better. Yes. So, you know, you can find all my music on CD Baby, Spotify, you know, all the streaming services. The music is out there, YouTube, and just jam to it. Listen to the encouraging messages, and know that I'm going to try to get some more work out there to you. You can follow me. You can go to my website at www.MsIreneRenee.com. So that's MS, Irene Renee. You can friend me on Facebook. I pretty much accept any friendships. I have a music page on Facebook as well. So either way, I'm reachable. Just, you know, let me know.
And at the end of this video, we will have either Miss Renee or myself. We will put link to her Spotify, and you. I think you have it on iTunes also, right?
Yes, everything, all the streaming services, pretty much. I lose track of.
And just look for Miss Irene, and the website, I have that on the top of the video, and I'm going to post it on a comment as well. And I do have Better Days. Which one would you like me to play, Better Days or to go out with the No Justice, No
I think Better Days is, you know, Better Days.
Which one? Better Days.
Know that Better Days are up ahead.
Okay. All right. We will definitely do that. I just want to thank you, Miss Irene, and I want to thank everyone that listened to us today or will listen. And please go and follow her page here on Facebook, or check her YouTube channel, listen to the songs, and support. That's all we were asking you to do. And thank you very much, Miss Irene, for coming today. And we would love to have you again soon in the future.
Okay.
And I'm going to play Better Days.
Got so many problems coming from everywhere. Raining down like army missiles falling from the air. Something just don't feel right. Even my comfort food just don't taste right. And the money is too tight to hang out with my girls around night. Just to pay it around, but I'm hell-bent on making it. Looking for a better day. Searching for a better way. Better day, better days. I'm looking for a better day. I'm searching for a better way. Looking for a better day, better days. Every day I'm living away. of the world. I should be listed in the Guinness book as the world's strongest girl. I've got problems, more problems than a math book. Ooh, and some days it got me shook, but I swear I ain't giving up, no. And my money's too tight. Oh, my money. Damn, all right. Tonight. It's too tight, yeah. Just to pay the rent, but I'm hell-bent on making it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Looking for a better day. I'm looking for, searching for a better way. I'm searching for, looking for a better day, better days. Oh, I'm looking for a better day. I'm searching for a better way. I'm looking for a better day, better days. I know it's just temporary, but I'm going through changes. I'm going through changes. I'm looking for a better day. I'm searching for a better way. I'm looking for a better day,